Hey guys, it's towniesimbuilds here, and welcome back to another build. Now, as many of you may know, the Growing Together expansion pack is literally right at our doorstep, and I thought this was the perfect time to do another base game build. Now, if you guys were like me after watching the gameplay and the trailer itself, I was a little disappointed that we did not get a true retirement home for our Sims. Fortunately, I got a little bit of inspiration and sought to create one of my own on a 50 by 50 lot. So with that said, let's head on over to the world of Willow Creek and check out the build. Alright guys, and here we are with a full view of the lot. As promised, we are in fact in the world of Willow Creek, and I did choose this large 50 by 50 lot that was not originally the park itself. I really wanted to take use of this really cool driveway, and I did my best to use terrain paints to seamlessly blend it into the build itself. This of course is the main front entrance. It does have a circular driveway and a small fountain, and we do have some small, tight, yet very convenient parking spaces shaded by the willow trees as well. So these could hopefully be used by either the workers or employees, or even some of the residents themselves. But anyways, in terms of the style of the build, I definitely wanted to design this in a way that fit Willow Creek itself. It's kind of a transitional style, and balances modern, traditional, and maybe a little bit of beach house, so hopefully this is a very colorful and cozy spot for your elder Sims. Over here is the very large poolside area, and the garden areas as well. So we do have a fountain sitting area towards the right, and a little shaded chest nook over here as well. You can also see some of the balconies. There are in total about 10 units, so certainly spacious for your Sims. Anyways, we will turn back to the front and check out the lot in different forms of lighting. Currently, we will be looking at the true afternoon view, followed by the evening view, onto the night view, back to the morning view, and finally returning to the afternoon, where we will take a look inside. So starting off our tour today is the first floor of the build, and there are definitely a lot of interesting spaces in store for you guys. Now, as a quick note, I do want to say that I used to work at a retirement home myself, and this was back when I was a teenager and I worked in the activities department. So the build is actually heavily inspired by my experiences there, but the place I did work in was quite old and I wanted this build to feel a little bit more luxurious. Anyways, what we're looking at is the main lobby area. We do have two different front desks, so there are a lot of spaces where your elder Sims can get help. And you guys also saw the makeshift elevators as well. Unfortunately, we don't have them in base game, but they were absolutely necessary in this build. Going in here is the main dining room area. So this is the place where your elder Sims would have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We actually had two in the place I worked at, but I thought one was more than sufficient in this particular build. Of course, connected to the dining room is a full-on industrial kitchen. So if you guys do use this lot in your game, hopefully you have a really wonderful 5-star chef who can come in and make some really awesome meals for your elder Sims. Anyways, moving back out, we will start going into the individual apartments themselves. Now, I don't really know too much of what they looked like in the place where I worked. But each of these is very much like a little hotel suite, if you will. Each of the apartments comes with a full bathroom and also a small kitchenette. And the kitchenette is pretty small, I will say, but given that fresh meals are served in the dining room, I didn't want to make it too expansive. Now, going into each of these rooms, I also want to say that they do have a little bit of a potential history or backstory to them, if you will, because I didn't want the rooms to feel so identical. This bedroom in particular was for a possible florist, someone who was a florist in the past, so you will see a lot of leaf motifs, you will see a lot of plants around, and yeah, I thought it made for a little bit of intrigue in each of the rooms. This one was for an ex-corporate big shot, so maybe someone who made it big in business and marketing and really wanted to keep it sleek and modern just like their career. Moving on to this room was kind of an interesting theme for me. Originally I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with it, but this room is themed around an ex-farmer. So we do have a placard to the right, possibly from an old peach or orange farm, and we do have some collectibles towards the bottom as well with the large trunk. There are some cargo boxes, I believe they're called, or like apple crates, some old teapots, and even some aprons there as well. The next room is for possibly an ex-fashionista or ex-fashion icon, so super bold with the colors, definitely a lot of clothing. We do have some designer shoes and even a full-length mirror, so definitely keeping those diva vibes alive here, and just super fun overall. Anyways, this concludes the residential section on the left side, or the west wing rather. And going over here, this is the second front desk. I figured this could be more for recreational purposes, maybe for event planning or other information. But, you know, I figured 2 front desks are probably better than 1. Moving forward, we enter the large recreational space. And to be honest with you guys, this was probably one of my most favorite spaces to design within this build. So this space includes a lot of different interesting activities. We do have a large sitting area, we do have a jukebox, we do have a dual painting station with conveniently a bowl of fruit, and of course we even have a TV in the back as well. And just moving forward a little bit, we will also have a sort of card game station, so you can play regular cards, you can play Don't Wake the Llama here. And for me, when I remember working at the retirement home, we had a ton of cabinet space, so I did want to emulate that. And normally here we kept a lot of craft supplies and also plenty of different board games for the residents as well. Moving over here, we do have the entrance to some additional areas that are non-residential. The first area is actually a little walk-in clinic, and this also mirrored what was seen in my particular work environment. This was definitely very non-emergency, if you will, so if we had elders who were feeling ill, there was definitely a nurse or doctor there that was ready to tend to them. So I did want to recreate this space. There is a sort of cabinetry area with computers set up, a washing station, and some other supplies. And then we do have some medical beds there as well, just for closer examination. So hopefully your Sims don't get sick here, but if so, hopefully you will also have a nurse or doctor Sim on duty to take care of your elderly patients. Moving on in, this is the employee break lounge. So obviously in this establishment there are lots of workers. You have office workers, you have people working in the clinic, you have people working in the dining room, people in activities, and this is a really great chill spot for all of your workers where they can dine, watch TV, read a book, or even use the restroom, which is very small. It is very small, of course, but I did want to include one in the corner there as well. So hopefully it gets the job done and makes all of your workers feel comfortable, and yeah, they pretty much have a nice place to rest. Anyways, finishing off this floor are the final residential apartments here. This one in particular actually has a glitching archway, but obviously that's just move objects on, you guys. But yes, this sim could have been a potential musician in the past, maybe did some classical music. So we do have that indicated with the piano painting. And I did also include a gramophone and also a little violin there in the corner as well. So lots of clues. Hopefully it helps you guys with a little bit of storytelling if you guys want to add a little bit of backstory for your Sims. And speaking of backstories, we enter the last room, and this one is a mixture of different things. I figured that this sim was definitely very outdoorsy. Maybe they were a fisherman or some sort of traveler. I think even a captain of a ship or a sailor might be a good possible option, but as you can tell, I'm not really the master of storytelling here, so I'll definitely let you guys fill in the blanks. Finishing off our tour today is the second floor of the build. And this floor certainly has less apartments, but it still has some interesting communal spaces for your elder Sims as well. Over here, of course, is the main landing area, and obviously you guys, unfortunately these elevators are not at all functional, but I did try to style them fairly realistically. So we do have some sort of number pad, there is like a metal plating on the ground if you will, and also some large mirrors. So hopefully if your Sims prefer to use the elevator, they can do so, but obviously only in our imaginations. Anyways, on each side of this floor there is another large sitting area, and then over here we actually have a little cinema/movie theater for your Sims as well. Now where I worked, mine was quite small, but this one is a little bit bigger and a little bit more dynamic. This initial room is actually a snack bar, so hopefully if you have an employee here, they can probably serve tea, coffee, popcorn, ice cream, whatever your elder Sims would like to eat while watching the film. Of course, no movie theater is complete without some show posters, so I was really happy that base game had a lot of good options. And of course, going in we have the cinema itself. And yeah, this theater is quite modest, you guys. It is very compact, but I did try to keep some very important style elements. So we have a lot of those red comfy chairs, the red carpet, and also the lighting in the aisle as well. Of course, the TV itself is not too large, but it definitely gets the job done, and hopefully your elder Sims can enjoy some really great old films in that room as well. Moving over here, this is one of the final apartments. This one is designed to be a little bit more modern and Zen inspired, if you will, so I thought perhaps this Sim could have been a yoga instructor in the past. It's very calm, very tranquil. And honestly, you guys, I did try to sneak some different elements to try and hint at this profession, but I do trust in your storytelling abilities, so please feel free to change the room or adapt the backstory as you like. Moving on to the next apartment, this room is definitely a lot more floral and pastel, and if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I still wasn't quite sure what I wanted for the backstory of this space, but eventually with a lot of the older decor with little elements of shabby chic, this Sim ultimately was a former antique dealer or even a thrift store owner. So I did also include a little hidden treasures, little hidden sculptures here and there to try and emulate that. So yeah, I guess make it what you like. Hopefully that is just a little bit of inspiration if you guys want to bring some interesting history to your elder Sims. It's definitely a great way to do so. But anyways, moving back out, we actually have another interesting space that was not originally part of the design. And this is actually the office of the retirement home director or manager. Now, I actually knew the manager a little bit in the place I worked at. I didn't interact with her a lot. I was actually with my boss who was in the activities department, but I imagine the office could be very luscious. It's very old money. And obviously, if the elders are having some problems with the facility, they can also talk with the manager or director there as well. Over here is just the other sitting area. And moving forward, we will enter the library. Now, remembering the library where I used to work at, it was very small. It was not very luxurious by any means. And sometimes there would be someone manning the library, but other times it would be quite vacant. But I did want to make this very cozy, a little bit more elegant. We do have a lot of bookcases, and we do have a full-on computer station. Now, if you guys have any certain predispositions about elderly people, I saw a lot of elderly people very efficiently using computers, so I definitely wanted to keep them well stocked. They can browse the web, write emails, play games, do research, pretty much anything really. And speaking of art, this apartment is of course the room of a former artist. So we do have an easel, we do have a little bit more of a styled room with a more contemporary abstract rug and painting, and also some older figure paintings, or figure drawings if you will, on the left there as well. So again, more cool history for your Sims. The final room is a little bit more ambiguous, but I figured this room had a lot of interesting little cultural elements here and there. So I thought this Sim could have been an explorer, maybe a treasure hunter, or maybe even a former anthropologist, if you will. Honestly, you guys, the possibilities are quite endless in a lot of these rooms, and of course, again, you are more than welcome to create your own backstories or even redesign these rooms completely, whatever it takes to fit the personalities and histories of your own elder Sims. So looking at the lot specs as a whole, this is in fact a 50 by 50 lot. It'll perfectly fit into the worlds of Willow Creek and Oasis Springs, along with many other Sims 4 worlds as well. The lot type is of course set to residential, so it is a perfect home for your elder Sims, along with any workers you would like to bring into the retirement home itself. Also, in terms of packs, like I said, this is a pure base game only build. There are no mods, no CC. no other packs, and not even the free holiday celebration stuff. It is purely base game, so hopefully this makes it a lot easier to use in your own game. Alright guys, and that is a wrap on the base game only Oak Acres Retirement Home. As always, you know I love hearing all of your thoughts and feedback in the comments, and if you guys do in fact get the upcoming Growing Together pack, definitely feel free to use this in your game, feel free to retrofit it with new items, and hopefully it inspires some really cool and interesting gameplay, especially for your Elder Sims. And with that said, this has been towniesimbuilds, signing off. Thank you so much for watching, guys.